Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Dale KEOWN Day, so we're looking at the next issue in his Incredible Hulk run from the early 90s. Issue 382, cover dated June 1991. Before we move on with this issue, just want to thank everyone out there who's already subscribed to the channel. Hope you're still enjoying the videos I'm putting out. We are really closing in on the 250 mark, which is our first kind of small milestone here at the King Comics channel. So thank you so much. And if you are enjoying the videos and are not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Click on the subscribe button below the video. It really helps us out, helps get us out there to as many people out there, hopefully who enjoy the same kind of videos and content that you do. So without further ado, enough of that, and let's move on to this actual issue here. So starting with the cover, nothing particularly wrong with it. I've mentioned before, I think with Hulk covers, you need to have some dynamic stuff going on. So this one's a little mundane again. It's just the Hulk kind of, you know, just standing there and raging with his hands. Kind of a you know, tried and true image, I guess. You know, it's a trope for sure, just not a very action oriented trope, more of an emotional one, which totally works, right? The actual image is great, the finish on it. Last issue, I think we talked about how KEOWN, excuse me, and I should talk about that too right before we break into the comic. Give me a sec. We talked about how KEOWN was inking himself at this point on the last cover, so maybe this cover is the same kind of deal. I do want to mention, I may have mentioned it before in past issues, but he's still using that very 80s, it's a screen tone with just very straight parallel lines, using it all over the place here, which I think is cool. I've always enjoyed screen tone, and this is one I don't see a lot of people using. Just kind of seems to be mostly Dale KEOWN. I've not seen it around a lot, and I do like it. Other than that, like I said, just a mundane image that kind of relates to one of the subplots in the story with this Oracle lady who sees the Hulk, as we'll see when we get into the issue. And before I open up the cover and we look inside, I do want to mention I've gotten comments back about my pronunciation sheet, which I still have lying around here. If you guys remember from one of the prior videos where, you know, I was kind of just trying to get a general consensus, excuse me, to how to pronounce specifically. I seem to be getting comments about my pronunciation of Dale KEOWN is what I used to say, and Todd McFarlane is what I used to say. But from general consensus, it seems like it's Dale KEOWN and Todd McFarlane, so I'm gonna try to make an effort and pronounce it that way. If anyone again wants to dispute for some reason, I'd love to hear your arguments for what I used to pronounce. If some of you out there you know, really do prefer the McFarlane pronunciation or the KEOWN pronunciation, please let me know why. And again, you know, just reminding everybody that to me, it just kind of seems a little bit like the whole Magneto, tomato kind of debate. You know, ultimately, who really cares? Because we always understand who we're talking about anyways. It seems to grate some people a little bit and rub them the wrong way. So, okay, I'll try to fix that as much as I can. But I'm still open to debate on this. So Dale KEOWN on The Incredible Hulk. Let's have a look. Now, this is the first issue to me. I think I said, you know, right around when 379, and I guess I haven't reviewed 377 because I don't have it, but maybe it happens in 377. Issue 379 to me is kind of the first post Smart Hulk issue where he kind of, all the personalities merge into one Hulk. The art just kind of jumps forward, right, with issue 79, the inking, and to a certain degree, the storytelling a little bit, but I think in this issue, you'll really see, maybe consciously from Dale KEOWN or not, there will be many less panels per page is what I'm trying to say. And I'll point it out as we move along. I feel like this is really the issue where we start hitting real peak Dale KEOWN. And I'll show you examples of that, of course, in the art, but also in the storytelling and the layout. So again, credits. Written by Peter David, penciled by Dale KEOWN, inked by Mark Farmer, who I mentioned before is now on as inker, and I think does a much better job than Rubenstein on the inks. I think they're much more complementary to Dale KEOWN's style. You know, even you know, having encountered Dale KEOWN's style a little bit later, and even with Pitt and stuff where he's inking himself fully, you know, it just Mark Farmer definitely makes more sense as an inker on top of KEOWN. Letter by Joe Rosen, colored by Glynis Oliver. So the same team as for, I think, pretty much all of Dale Keown's run, at least up to this point. Starting off with a great splash, you know, some sort of testing going on, you know, familiar Danger Room-esque kind of thing. Like, where does this trope come from of like this room where experiments happen and you know, you can train against robots or holograms and stuff, and there always seems to be a team kind of watching over? This is like, I mean, it's in Stranger Things, so I have to assume this comes from the military. This is like how the military kind of sets up experimentation zones, or, you know, I have to assume that's the inspiration. If anyone has any information on that, let me know in the comments. Great splash page, great Dale Keown, smoother kind of inking, a little closer with the hatching and stuff. So yeah, very cool. And moving on. So right away, if we look at the layout of these two pages, right, just the sheer number of actual panels has diminished, especially comparing with prior issues. And if you go back through those reviews that I've done to issues prior to this, you'll see that there's a much higher count of panels generally. And, you know, this, I would say, if you look at these two pages and this issue as a whole, is kind of the sweet spot for me when it comes to storytelling, where there's not too many panels and where there's not too little panels like Image, right? So Dale Keown maybe is a good barometer here, where prior to these issues, I feel like the storytelling was still kind of more 80s oriented. I've talked about the Jim Shooter kind of edicts and principles that were being applied by most artists. Very mid-shoddy, if I can put that, say that way. Here we're getting a little more of what will become the Image style, but it's well balanced between the two, is what I'd say, right? So once again, we're getting almost not quite a splash page, but a nice, cool, big shot of the Hulk, right? At this point, maybe we can start talking about this concept of an anchor. That's probably been talked about with most Image artists, I think, if you know a little bit about the behind the scenes of the Image kind of philosophy overall of panel layout and page layout. An anchor image is, you know, one cool image per page, right? So on this one, I would definitely say it's the Hulk. On this one over here, I mean, it's all right, but more than likely, to me anyways, this is what, you know, pulls my eye first and is the anchor image. Again, a closer up shot to a character generally, and in this case, someone, you know, something's happening there. He's in some form of distress, so it's normal that would attract our attention. But not sacrificing storytelling completely to do, you know, full-on Image pinup pages, right? You've still got beats and panels, smaller panels, bigger panels. He's doing more of these interesting layouts, which he'll do more of as he moves along, changing the panel shape and stuff, right? And a little inset panel here is very cool. So there's kind of a sweet spot over the next few issues, or maybe even till the end of his run here on the Incredible Hulk, where I think we strike a good balance. Again, just I'll keep moving on, but these two pages are good examples of overall, you know, a slightly less panels on each page, but definitely not sacrificing the storytelling, and, you know, in the service of making those bigger images, those anchor images, and those pages interesting, right? If we go through this issue real quick, you know, I'll try to mention each page. There is, I'm almost sure of it, on each page, an anchor image. I would say this one here, right, on this page. Once again, you know, 5 panels, you know, just a reasonable number for what's needed for the storytelling. He's not skipping on the backgrounds or anything. But yeah, this definitely the anchor image here. We get a bit of the mundane, and he seems to have taken kind of a hint maybe from McFarlane. I think I may have mentioned this last issue, but I think you know, his relationship pages and just, you know, the regular human character pages have gotten better. Here he is using kind of a repetition where the camera doesn't move, right? Just the characters do within the panel, but that works. And the rhythm is good. And you get the 90s vertical panel. And once again, you know, instead of having 10, 12 panels, 9 panels, you've got 4, right? So your eyes kind of still has a lot to look at and moves pretty quickly through the page. And I think, again, this is the issue where I really notice all of a sudden the panel count really going down, right? But again, not to those extreme image levels that we'll see. And with Pitt as well, right? There's some of those issues of Pitt are definitely, I wouldn't say panel less, but panel light. Once again, oh, I didn't mention the anchors. Are there anchors on more mundane pages? Maybe not. But I mean, I would say maybe, Marlowe here, he's Dale KEOWN, excuse me, is pretty good at drawing pretty ladies. And Marlowe's probably the obvious focus of this page. Guess that would be the anchor here, right? Kind of a full shot. Someone getting a little bit angry, distressed once again. Not focusing too much, like I said, in this story, it's kind of like the Hulk kind of joining Pantheon, but like still having a piss and match with all the other guys because there's jealousy and they're a bunch of dudes and there's, all that kind of vibe. Again, I'm not too interested in Pantheon, haven't been, from when they were introduced. Always saw it as kind of a B story when I was reading these issues. A little later, we're almost caught up to where I started reading these as a kid. Just they never interested in me. And again, I think I may have mentioned, I don't know how far they went. Just not very interesting characters to me. Clear anchor page here, right? This is basically a splash with two kind of inset panels. Very cool. I've talked before about the manga influence in those early Image guys, so I feel like there's a bit of it there. Like it's less Jack Kirby, inspiration and more manga. So the average seems to be about 4 panels per page, right? That's what we're seeing here. We've got the vertical 90s panels. Vertical 90s panels, I think is the official term for these. I'll just continue calling them that. Anchor image here, still moving the story along. If you just look at, I should mention this every once in a while, at least in a few reviews, but like reading direction, the idea that the artist is leading your eye, whether you know it or not, right? So in the way he's positioning things, it's supposed to be kind of subliminal. You don't really notice it, but the arm obviously is in this direction, kind of leads you to these two guys who are at an angle, which then leads you to kind of this guy and the Hulk talking, right? And then the Hulk's hand is pointed down this way. So the artist is consciously guiding your eye to where he wants it to go, right? And then hopefully the word balloons follow along and make sense as well, which in this case, I think, so it's pretty successful here. The Hulk's hand redirects you this way. You read this bubble and, because you're kind of headed in this direction, I do feel there's a natural tendency to go over here rather than maybe some people might go down this way. But I feel like that sends you over here, which is where you need to be going when you're reading this. That would be the order, right? And again, one of the main reasons I really don't like Pantheon, that's another word we're going to have to debate on how to pronounce, Pantheon. No, I'm kidding. So this character here is one of the main reasons, Ajax, I think he's called. Yeah. I don't like the Pantheon. He's like, he's very annoying. I don't know how else to describe it. I just find him annoying. And he's always kind of in a pissing match with the Hulk. This scene that we're seeing here happened a few issues ago. It just, if from what I remember, even from maybe future issues, he's always got kind of that chip on his shoulder because he's basically insecure because he's the big guy and now the Hulk is there, right? So I feel like that's what it is. It's my psychological assessment of this character that I hate. Here we're getting a higher count of panels. Maybe not so much variety on this page. Maybe a little tamer and more boring than what we saw prior. Maybe a little closer to what KEOWN was doing in prior issues with this kind of stuff. But yeah, again, if I look around, I'm just seeing mostly like 4 panels. It seems to be quite the average for this comic, which is less than most Marvel comics probably, and especially prior Hulk issues. This ad still puzzles me about the rings I may have mentioned. That's primo dollars for Marvel. This is like literally an extra kind of sheet of paper. Right, one sheet of paper always creates 4 pages. So that was added in there, and it's not the same quality. It's not newsprint. It's like glossy and shiny, right? Very interesting that they would try selling this stuff in a comic book. Very funny to me. All right, so the pissing match continues. Once again, we got a 4-panel page. It's as if maybe that's kind of what he was setting. He said, set himself a goal. Maybe it helps a deadline, right? If each page only has 4 panels, there's some sort of economy there. You got to figure out, enough information in each panel because you're limited, and maybe that makes it go a little bit faster because, again, you have less to draw, or you're drawing stuff that you draw smaller, bigger. So he put this guy, Ajax, pushes him underwater. The Hulk's fretting a little bit because he didn't take a deep breath, and he's saying, oh God, I'm gonna, get drowned by this guy in 1 foot of water. Pushes him off, and again, this is just not something I enjoy. This character really just grates me. I don't know what else to say. The art throughout, I do want to mention, is great. The storytelling, again, very clear, concise. But ultimately, the story is kind of bland to me, especially when we're dealing with Pantheon. And this is a bit of a foreshadowing, I think, to the Abomination, appearing a little bit later. I remember the first issue of the Hulk that I bought, I'm pretty sure, is the one with the Abomination in it. Excuse me, it's either the first or the second. So here we got some more 90s tropes. We've got the thick black border for the Incredible Hulk. Love the facial expressions of KEOWN, right? Even though the Hulk here, ultimately, you could say it is with Dale KEOWN that the Hulk's facial proportions started looking a little more human, a little less brutish and ape-like, I guess as I describe it, kind of Frankenstein-like. He still kept the brow and the eyes are far apart, which adds to that Frankenstein-y kind of vibe, I guess. I guess that's how I describe it, but he's really great with the facial expressions with him and with the regular humans. There's a page specifically as we move on. I think it's one with the two ladies there with Margot and her friend. Good stuff here, using more of that parallel line screen tone, which I haven't mentioned everywhere, but he's been using throughout this whole issue. Yeah, so this page here, even though it's got a higher panel count, this one to me is interesting and kind of moves and is maybe slightly cartoonier. There's kind of a Betty and Veronica vibe to it, like an Archie style. I do think Dale KEOWN does a really great job at drawing female faces. In this case, once again, applying all those great expressions that he's good at drawing to this whole page. So, even though there's more action and less panels and stuff, this is probably, I'd say, one of my favorite pages in this issue. And now we've got the reference to the cover with our Oracle. We've got a 3-panel page here. That's a quick page to draw, and especially near the end of a deadline, you're feeling good about getting through this one real quick, especially it's the, before last page. And even this one, I would say, kind of a fun drawing from the artist's point of view, a fun drawing to kind of finish off of, and just, 3 quick panels there does the job. And kudos to KEOWN here. I think that looks great. Kind of insane, crazy looking Hulk, more so than usual. There we go. All right, that is it for issue 382 of The Incredible Hulk. If you have any comments and questions about this issue, please let me know. Leave all that in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out the channel and checking out the videos. I hope everyone out there has an awesome day.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!
King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.